How's it going, everybody? Thank you for watching this video. And just a quick note, if you guys are subscribed, or if you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. And when you do, click this little bell here on my channel and get all notifications sent to you from my channel. That way you guys can be updated with all of my channel updates and uploads and whatever else I do on here. Thanks for watching. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the source code. My name is Deshawn, and today we're going to be looking at inventory menus. So we're going to be doing stuff inside of this custom inventory that we created last episode. Now, like I said, you can do a lot of things. Like you can do player stats, you can do you can do menus, you can do stores. You're really not limited to anything inside of a custom inventory. You honestly can do just about everything. So what we are going to do is we are going to just do a very simple player stats menu. So nothing too crazy, very simple. So we're gonna head over back here to our events class here, and we want to do a couple of things. So we want to create a new public void, and it's going to be inven click, and it's going to be inventory click event. And so what we're doing now is we're calling the inventory click event for our constructor called inven click. And so now there's a couple things we need to do. So and now basically what's going to happen is this is going to run every time a player clicks an inventory. But we don't want it to do that, right? We want it to be specific to our custom inventory that we created, right? So what we can do is we can go ahead and copy the name of this. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. You could go ahead and create a new instance of this custom inventory class on here, and you can go ahead and make this, oops, I do not want to do that. And you can go ahead and make this inventory up here in a public variable, but we're just gonna do it the easy way. So we're gonna go ahead and say if, well, first we wanna do a couple things. So we wanna go ahead and get the player, right, because we need that, and that's going to be event.getWhoClicked. It's going to be a human entity. Go ahead and import that. There we go. And we're going to need to create a cast because technically getWhoClicked is not a player, it's a human entity, so we just need to create an instance of player there. And I totally skipped over this, I think, but once again, make sure to go on GitHub. All the code will be available to you on there, and also make sure not to skip around this video or you could miss some code. There we go. Got to make sure I get that out there. Right, so we're creating a cast of player, and what we need to do now is we also need to get the click type, and that's going to just be click equals event dot get click get click. There we go. And now what this is going to be is this is going to allow us to see if they right click, if they left click, if they middle mouse click, if they shift click. It's going to allow us to see a couple things. So first thing we want to do is we want to say if player dot get open inventory dot get dot come on dot get we want to do dot get top inventory dot get. Well, actually we can do something even easier than that. So what we can actually do is we can go ahead and say inventory open equals event dot get inventory. Well, get clicked inventory. That's what we want. And we go ahead and import inventory. So now we can simply just say if open dot get name dot equals that, which is the name from our tutorial thing, or from our custom inventory. We're going to say system dot out dot print line, and we're just going to say 1. And now we're going to go ahead and export this real quick, because what we want to do is we just want to see if this is in fact, if this code is in fact working. So we want to make sure that it's not printing out when we're on this inventory, but then if we go here, we can see that it's not working on here either. So we must have an error somewhere, and we do. We did not say event handler. We did not import that. So let's go ahead and try this again. And we want to go here. I just clicked through everything here. We're going to go ahead and export that. And we want to make sure, okay, it's not working here. But now what if we go here? Okay, so we can click here and you can see, oh, we're getting some errors there, but don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. We can see here we're getting the ones. And so what we want to do now is we want to check for the items, right? We want to see if the clicked item equals null because we're creating inventory menu, right? So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to say item stack item equals event.get current item, and we'll go ahead and import that. So then we want to say if item dot equals null, and we're just going to go ahead and return, and then we're going to go ahead and say or item dot get item meta. Actually, we're going to say if item dot has item meta, then we're going to say does not have item meta, return. And then what we want to do is we want to create an item. Now this is going to be a pretty lengthy tutorial because there is kind of a lot we have to go over in this. So now we want to create our custom item here, which is going to basically be the button that they're going, or the item that they're going to see. So we're just going to change this to 9 for this. And so now we want to just create some space here, and we want to do a new item stack, which is going to be item, or it's going to be item stack. We'll just say health. And now I said it's not going to be really simple, but this is it has to be simple just so that way we don't have to go ahead and explain a whole bunch of new things and start confusing this whole thing up. And so we're just going to go item stack health. That's what we're going to call this first item. We're going to go say new item stack. And we need a material, so it's going to be material dot, what do we want to do here? Let's go ahead and just, let's see, potion, what do we want to use? Let's look at the items here. So what do we want to use to represent our health? Let's go ahead and use, so this is gonna, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say we're gonna use rose red, so we're gonna use dye, right? We're gonna use dye. Now this gets a little bit weird here, so we're gonna have to say ink sac, and then we gotta go ahead and say byte 1, and then we need the amount, which is 1. I think I did that in the proper order. We're gonna find out here. Okay, so we need to bring this one over to here, I think. There we go. So that byte 1 is basically saying this. So this is, you know, it's an ink sac, really. It's really what it is. It's an ink sac, but it has the byte of 1, and I'm pointing on my screen like you can see. That's how you do different colored items, right? So that's gonna be our health. And we're gonna go ahead and say, and this is going to be, or actually the amount we're actually going to set as the player's health, right? So we're gonna go ahead and create an integer, health equals player dot get health. So it's a double. So we're gonna go ahead and cast integer here, cast int, and then we're just gonna go ahead and say health, because that's how many we want of that. And why can we not do that? Oh, because we have health int. So we'll just go ahead and say health int. There we go. That's why we can do that, because we had 2 things named health. And now we're gonna go ahead and say int food int, which is going to be same thing. And we're going to go ahead and say player dot get food level, same thing. And that's actually an integer already, so we don't have to do that. Okay, so we have our new item there, and now we're going to do the same thing, but for food we're just going to go ahead and say dot apple, and we're going to go ahead and say food int, and this is going to be food, right? And so now we have, it's going to be 9 slots, so which means it's basically going to be like this down here. So this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 slots, but everything starts at 0. So we want, and I like to do this just so you can sort of plan out where your items are going to be. So let's say we we want them here, right? So there's 3 here, 3 here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 and 5. So we want to go ahead and say I.set item health, and we're going to set that one as 3. And I think I did it backwards. Swap, yep, I did. I'm glad that it can swap it for us. And then we're going to go ahead and set 5 as food. And now we do have to go ahead and do a couple of things here for creating the custom metadata here for the name and everything else. But we also want to create a new item here. And this is basically just going to be empty, right? So empty space. So that's what we're going to call. We're just going to call it empty. That's going to be item stack material dot stained glass pane 1 byte, and I want to say it's 14. I think that's what it is. What is it? Stained glass pane. Wrong pane. But let me just double check to make sure it is 14. 15. I was close. Give myself brownie points there. All right, so now we have to create the metadata for all of these items, right? And now you don't necessarily have to do it for this empty one here, but if you don't want it to show up with a name, then you're going to go on ahead and add some metadata there. So we're just going to go ahead and say item meta empty meta equals empty dot get item meta. Okay, then we're going to say empty meta dot set display name, and we're just going to set it as something really simple. Nothing too complicated here, just a simple dash like that. And now we can go ahead and say empty meta dot set. Oh, we want to go ahead and say empty dot set item meta empty meta. There we go. Okay, now we have to repeat the same thing for our food and health, right? So we're just going to go ahead and say item meta. So this is kind of repetitive, and this is just going to be h meta just to save time equals health dot get item meta, and we want to go ahead and say h meta dot set display name chat color dot red plus health. Okay, cool. And now we just want to go ahead and say health dot set item meta h meta. All right, now we want to do the same thing for food, but I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, paste it, and we're going to change this to f meta. We're going to change this to food. We're going to change this to f meta. We're going to change this to food. We're going to change this to f meta, and we're going to change this to dot yellow. I like yellow. I think that's a good one. And we're going to say food. All right. So now we should be all set here. So let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and so then we want to go ahead and set all these empty slots as the empty, right? So we want to go ahead and say I dot set item or set item 0 empty. And now there is a faster way you can do this. I just don't really feel like doing it. Or, I mean, there is a easier way to do this than the way I'm doing it. I just don't feel like doing that way right now. So we want to go ahead and we got to add 1 in between there. So we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And let's go ahead and export this real quick. And let's reload that. So if we do /inventory, you can see that we have our food and health levels. So let's go ahead and change our game mode to 0, and let's do /weather clear. So you can see we don't have a perfect hunger level there, but if we go ahead and do /heal, if we go ahead and do, oops, come on, we'll get there. Inventory, you can see we have 20, 20, and let's get rid of these tooltips here. You can do that by doing F3H, And if we do inventory here, you can see that it just has a little name there, and we can see our health here and our food level. And now we can go ahead and add lore, and we can actually have the real food level there, but I just did it by using amounts, right? So then let's see, if we go ahead and hurt ourselves, you can see that our health is 14, but if it doesn't have consistent updating, so you can go ahead and add that by doing sort of checks every time, but I don't really want to do that. But now what we want to do is say we want to click this and heal ourselves, right? So we can do just that, right? So we technically have created an inventory menu, but we have our items here, right? But now what we want to do is so we can click this and we can go ahead and heal, and we want to make it so you can't take items out of the inventory, which I just did there, and you can see that we got an error. And you can see here, if we go ahead and get inside of here, if we click outside of here, we're getting an error. So then we want to go back to our events class here, and like I said, this is going to be a lengthy tutorial. I'm not really doing this in any sort of order. I'm kind of doing it as it comes to my head, so kind of just bear with me. So we want to check for one more thing. So we want to say, well, we'll get back to that for now. So we're going to go ahead and say if, well, we can actually just go ahead and so we're going to say if item dot get item meta dot get display name dot equals, and we're just going to go ahead and go to our custom inventory here, and we're just going to go ahead and say copy. We're just going to copy this name here. We're just going to do it for one of these items. We're not going to do it for both. We're going to say, so if equals that name, we're going to go ahead and say player dot set health 20, because that's going to be full health here. We got to add another parentheses there. So if the item meta dot equals or dot get name equals health, chat color red health, and we're going to set the player's health to 20. So we don't really need this click. You can do different things with clicks, but we're not really going to worry about that for right now. So I want to figure out why this is doing this. It's really weird that it would be giving us that error here. So let's go ahead and then move this. Let's go ahead and okay, right. So I see what's happening. So we're setting the clicked inventory as something, but technically they're not clicking inventory if they're clicking outside of there. So we're going to go ahead and say if. So we're going to say if open equals null, and we're going to go ahead and just return. Okay, now let's go ahead and export this. All right. So we can see here, no more errors. We can still move items from the inventory, but if we click this, it heals us. And now we want to do a couple things here. We want to have that our whole inventory reset, right? But what happens now if it equals this, we want to go ahead and say event.set canceled true, and that's going to make it so you can't take items out of the inventory. And now there are a few loopholes, such as using shifts and drops and stuff like that, which I can explain in a later video. This video is already going on for quite some time now, 19 minutes to be exact. But basically there's a loophole where basically players can do control drops, shift drops, or just drops, and they can get items. But you can go ahead and look for that and then cancel that. But we want to just cancel the whole event, and then we want to go ahead and we're going to actually say player.close inventory, and then we're going to go ahead and call this custom inventories thing here, and we're going to reopen this inventory, right? So we're just going to go ahead and say new inventory, custom inven. Oops. So we need to do custom inventory ci equals new custom inventory. All right. I probably spelled it wrong. I sure did. And then we're going to go ahead and say ci dot new inventory player. So what's going to happen now is their inventory is going to close, they're going to get healed, and then their inventory is going to reopen with their new health values, right? So we're going to go ahead and take some damage here, and we can go ahead and open the inventory. and you can see our health is pretty low, and we're gonna go ahead and go here, and now the inventory reclosed and we healed ourselves, and now you can add some chat there, but nothing's happening there for the food. But as you can see here, players can no longer take items out. They can add items if they have similar items, which is very, very weird. But you can see here, oh, the drops aren't even working. That is interesting. Well, that's great. But yeah, so that's all I got for you guys today. So you guys did learn how to use some custom inventory menus, and like I said, you guys can do really cool things with inventory menus. You really are not limited to anything. Like, you can run commands through inventory menus. You can really just do whatever the frick you want to do with an inventory menu. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go follow me on Twitter at @the_source_code. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a comment, drop a like, and give me your feedback on this video. I know it was kind of lengthy and it was kind of all over the place. You guys did learn a lot of cool stuff in this episode, and I feel like I kind of went kind of fast. So if you guys are feeling lost, kind of just go back through, double check the code, look at the source code on GitHub, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for all the support you guys have been giving me. See you guys later.